Give a young NBA player millions of dollars, and you know the party's on. Some of these guys take it to a whole nother level. These are some NBA players that party too much. Wait. Party too much? Well, wait until you hear how some of these NBA stars get down off the court. And we'll do our best to keep the Kardashians off of this video. Such thing. You're never too old to party. Just ask this former Celtics superstar. He's been retired for a while now and still got in trouble for partying. Paul Pierce was enjoying life after the NBA. That's when Pierce had an epic house party, and he decided to stream live on his Instagram account. He even found a sweet job doing analysis for ESPN. Pierce streamed himself talking, and while he wasn't wasted, it was obvious he had been drinking, dropping F-bombs like they were three-pointers.
After life, this is it. All them other, they not doing it like this. We check.
And at one point, Pierce was talking to a friend off camera.
Hey, he skipped Shabbat. No, keep that in there. Okay. Hey, he skipped Shabbat.
I'm not Jewish, bro. I told you.
Oh, he said he wasn't Jewish.
The friend could be heard making racial slurs at the Jewish community. And in the background, there were poker games going along with women in thongs walking around. Sounds like Paul Pierce knows how to have a good time. Except ESPN didn't think so. Pierce was fired from his job expeditiously. Oh, and Pierce isn't the only NBA player that likes to party by playing cards and gambling. For one NBA legend, his gambling was so bad that rumors arose he was being banned for it. Some people may not consider gambling partying. There are quite a few players that would disagree. None bigger than Michael Jordan. There are so many stories of Jordan gambling, it's hard to tell what's true and what's not. One story, however, is confirmed by another player that lived to gamble, Antoine Walker. Walker was Jordan's gambling buddy, and one night they ended up at someone's house for a 36-hour game of spades. As the night went on, Jordan found himself down over $1 million. Jordan, being the competitor he is, wasn't about to let that slide. The game would go on until Jordan got his debt down to $180,000. Walker said at that point, Jordan couldn't stay awake, and his head kept falling to the table. Jordan finally called it a night. But on another night, it was said that Jordan lost $5 million at the craps table. Jordan's gambling was so bad that rumors came up that he was banned from the NBA for 2 seasons and covered it up as his retirement during the 94 and 95 seasons. There is no proof of this, however. Oh, and Michael Jordan had a teammate that was familiar with having party rumors about him. The difference is, this guy was proud of all the crazy things said about him. Listen, you don't get a nickname like the Worm without doing some slimy things. Sometimes you didn't know if he would show up in places as a man or a woman, and you never knew what color his hair was going to be. Dennis Rodman has made a name for himself like that. Rodman was known for partying and making it rain at the strip clubs. Don't worry, the dancers were female. It was reported one night that Rodman dropped $800,000. That's less than he spent on his wedding when he married himself. Rodman has dated some girls that knew how to party too. Madonna and Carmen Electra, just to name a few. All the partying has caught up to Rodman, however, and it's reported he is worth only $500,000. A lot to me and you, but just a fraction of the fortune the Worm used to have. Speaking of players that like to frequent the strip club, this next guy has been seen at them often. He hasn't dropped his fortune yet, but you won't believe what he actually dropped right in front of the cameras. He could have caught some jail time on top of a suspension. Kevin Durant was at a Los Angeles nightclub enjoying himself. Durant, who had a few drinks but was composed, came out of the club only to be met with TMZ cameras right in his face. Durant kept his cool and half-heartedly answered the usual dumb TMZ questions while he was on his phone. As Durant walked to his ride, TMZ followed right behind. Durant opened the back door of the Escalade he was riding in, and a huge pill bottle of weed fell out onto the ground.
Uh-oh, dropping the weed.
Without missing a beat, TMZ called him out. "You dropped your weed!" The camera guy yelled at KD. But his entourage is on point though. They wasted no time blocking the cameras, getting Durant in the truck and swiping the pill bottle off the ground like it was a loose ball in the NBA Finals. If you are gonna party hard, that's the kind of crew you need. Tight little squad that has your back. Ask this next NBA legend. His entourage was so big and partied so hard, he went broke in just a few years covering them. Allen Iverson is one of the greatest guards of all time, always there when his team needed him. That earned him the nickname, The Answer. But he didn't have an answer for all the money he spent on the crew he rode with though. See, Iverson would go out almost every night, bringing at least 50 guys with him. Bars, restaurants, strip clubs, paying for all of it. That's a lot of lap dances. Iverson had expensive taste as well, and with all that spending, he was broke just a few years after he retired. Fortunately, Iverson has a $32 million deal with Reebok that pays him a little at a time. Keep those checks away from your homeboys, Allen. Not everyone likes to party with 50 people every night. In fact, this NBA Hall of Famer only partied with a few close friends, and not that often. And the one time that he did, it put him in hot water, getting trashed at the worst possible time you can imagine. Back in the early 90s, now NBA analyst Charles Barkley was a star for the Philadelphia 76ers. Barkley had enough of Philadelphia and told his agent to get him traded. One morning, Barkley was woken up by a phone call from his agent. He told Sir Charles that the Sixers were trading him to the Los Angeles Lakers. For Charles, this was amazing news. Now that he didn't have to play the game that night, he called up a few buddies and they went out and celebrated. Drinking all afternoon and having a great time, Charles gets another phone call from his agent. A drunk Barkley answers and is told by his agent that the Sixers backed out of the trade to LA. Charles was still a member of Philly and needed to get ready for the game that night. By this time, it was a little after. Barkley had a game in a few hours and he could barely see straight. Sir Charles played it cool though and had a great game. He even put up a double-double. And you know what's better than a double-double? A triple-double. And we're the channel to keep checking out for the most interesting NBA content on YouTube. Hit those like and subscribe buttons and we'll keep pushing out great content. And as always, we appreciate the love and support. If you guys ever have any video suggestions, drop them in the comments. Let's get back to the parties. We're going to finish up with a couple of guys who took partying to a dark place. A place you don't always come back from. The Birdman, Brian Anderson. Much like Rodman was known for his hard play, defense, and crazy look. The difference between the two is Rodman's partying didn't get him banned from the league. Anderson was doing some partying no one seemed to know about. One night, as he strolled into practice, Anderson was hit with a surprise test. He tested positive for a real hard but the was never made public. So how do we know it was a hard? Because the NBA Players Union protects players who test positive for except a few hard ones. Anderson was banned immediately after the results came in, and the Players Union could do nothing. We won't speculate, but if you're curious, you can look up the list and come to your own conclusion. And to this day, he continues to be clean and is making it a happy ending. The last player we're going to talk about didn't have a happy ending. In fact, his story is still going on, and he's in the middle of his hell and may never get out. He didn't party. He was the party. Not many players start off in the spotlight as young as Sebastian Telfair. He was a star at the high school level in New York and the younger cousin of Stephon Marbury. Add to that, he was featured on MTV, so the pressure was on early. He skipped college alongside LeBron James and entered the NBA draft. Things didn't go as well for Telfair as they did for LeBron, and after spending most of his career as a bench player, Telfair got into the game. Back in 2017, Sebastian was pulled over for speeding. They would end up searching his vehicle and finding and a bunch of bags full of. In 2019, Telfair was given a 3.5-year sentence. And it doesn't end there. While being behind bars, he was found guilty with 17 other NBA players for insurance fraud, leaving Telfair locked up for the foreseeable future. Where there is big money, there will always be big-time partying. This has been NBA Players That Party Too Much. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.